Chichen Itza! We're here. Guys, this is so cool. It is a seven wonder of the world. One of them.
The new ones.
Yes. One of the new ones, not the ancient seven wonders, but we're so glad to be here and show it to you. Chichen Itza, actually named after a cenote down the street. There's a lot of cenotes here. You can hear the clapping. They're exercising the echo that is produced by these ruins. There are 26 temples here in Chichen Itza. This is by far the biggest one, the most iconic, Instagrammable one. There's 2 temples inside, and twice a year they're able to look inside the other temple and see the second temple. I think it's the Temple of the Serpent, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of the other temples we went to in other ruins, they worshipped a lot of nature. So we see the Temple of the Serpent here. There was a cobra, there was an eagle, there was the sun, there was the moon, there was the wind. And this area is actually, the Chichen Itza is actually named after the wind. So that's pretty cool. We are going to explore some of the ruins here with you today, and a lot of it's unexplored. So we're gonna get to see some of the ones that have been excavated, and this one's been fully restored.
Fortunately and unfortunately, you cannot climb up onto this ruin. It's fortunate because it preserves the ruin, which is really important. If you would like to climb the tallest ruin in the area, however, you can do that, but it's at Coba. It's in a different area. But if you're interested in climbing up to the top of one that's like twice as tall, go ahead and go there. Considered that this place started to be constructed around 600 AD. Holy moly. It was also considered to be kind of like a economic market center. So it wasn't just where people lived, but people came here to visit and do trades and communicate and things like that.
They don't know whether or not it was weather, famine, food shortage, or it was actually when the Spanish came in and conquered the Incans and also the Mayans up here. So they don't really know how the civilization kind of ended, but it had 50,000 people at its peak.
Amazing.
Every one of them's got just an incredible design on it.
The lighting is so good right now.
Yeah, it really is.
If you're visiting Mexico and you only have time for, like, let's say one ruin, most people would come here because it is so vast and there's so much to see. We have been as well to the ruins in Tulum, which are mostly just notable because they're on the water, which makes it really special and unique. But here, there's actually expansive grounds with a huge variety and the kinds of temples, the location, and all that.
Example here of tic-tac-toe. Obviously it was created by the Mayans, and in this case the former ruler lost, and his seat was given over to the Spanish.
This has been another episode of Untrue Facts with Jeremy Boutros. So many people speculate that they chose to build Chichen Itza here because of the proximity to the cenotes. Cenotes are really unique to the Yucatan Peninsula here, and it was the main source of fresh water for people who are living here pre-Columbian times. Obviously, water is the most essential. If you guys remember our time in Tikal, part of the reason they left was because they didn't have enough resources there, food and water, to sustain the population.
And small villages will come to Chichen Itza to exchange their products. They used to use we call it trueque, okay, barter. You give me your sunglasses and I give you my hat, for example. But the official currency was cocoa beans, okay? Cocoa beans was the official currency. If you give me cocoa beans, I'll give you maybe a tomato.
How crazy is that? Their currency was cocoa beans. I think we should go back to that, to be honest. They were on to something. So some good information to know is that when you come here, you can pay for your general ticket with a card. Then you have to get a separate government ticket with cash, which ends up being about $10, but you can only pay in pesos. So it's a bit complicated.
Exactly, totally complicated. Okay, so they're like, pay with credit card. You can pay with credit card. But then they're like, oh yeah, you have to have this ticket in order to actually enter and see this, you know, temple, the main Chichen Itza temple. So it's like 2 different tickets, but you have to pay cash and card. Even the guide that was in the bus on the way over said people go and pay through the line. They wait in this huge long line, and then they get to the end and they realize they have to have the second ticket. Then they have to go stand in line all over again. And so thankfully we heard that, and we were confused as well because she offered us the second ticket. I'm like, do I have to have it? But it was $10. I'm like, okay, sure. It's clearly an administrative pickle for the city and the state wanting certain money from Chichen Itza. That's why they have you pay for 2 separate tickets, in my opinion. Why else would you do that? Because it's ridiculous. One has to be cash only. The other one can be card. And they say federal money, which is just pesos, but it was confusing in terms of the wording. Maybe that's how they say it here, I don't know.
Going on in the mud hut, look at this.
Okay, you got a traditional mud hut here. The mud was actually an insulator, and it kept things cool on the inside, kept the heat on the outside, because it does get hot here. But come and check it out. Whole nother level of appreciation comes to the 12-year-olds of our day. Cenote? Yeah, there's one on.
So here is one of the cenotes. If you want to see us swimming in a cenote, you can check out our other Mexico vlogs, Dos Ojos and Tulum and Escaret cenote. So right over here, you can see this is where we got picked up this morning. And we had to drive all the way around for 6 minutes to get to the front gate. Now, it used to, at Mayaland, remember the chocolate shop? There it is right there. Dang it. Oh. So in 1917, Don Fernando was a hero of Mexican tourism, and he convinced passengers on ships from New York to come down the coast, get off at Progreso, which is really north, and travel all the way down here for a tour of Chichen Itza and a tour of the Yucatan Peninsula for a week. Now, 4 years later, that became the official Mayaland tours, which then eventually gave birth to our amazing hotel, which housed archaeologists and a lot of people through the years. This was the primary location for most people. If you were coming to Chichen Itza in the 20s or 30s or 40s or even 50s, this is where you were staying, which is really, really cool. Right now you have to take the shuttle from the hotel, which is free. Unfortunately, the first one leaves 5 minutes to 8. And so if you don't already have your tickets, we waited in line for 15 minutes for our tickets, which is kind of a bummer, because they wouldn't take us any earlier. That's the earliest they'll take you. But it was really helpful, and we're really appreciative for it. And hopefully pretty soon it'll go back to normal, but who knows? Do I look like an American tourist? Okay, so obviously chocolate was very important to the Mayans, and we all know why. Because it's amazing.
Hey guys, super easy to get here. You fly into Cancun, get on the ADO bus to the Cancun bus station, and tell them Chichen Itza. Make sure it's an hour from when you schedule it at the airport versus when you actually plan to take the bus from the bus station, so you have plenty of time to get on it. We had an extra 15 minutes. You could also take a tour from your hotel in Cancun. There's also TripAdvisors that have buses that come here and they'll stop by one cenote in Balayadot on the way back, which is also really cool. But that, you know, tends to be 14 hours. Most people choose to do that from their resort, but you're paying the all-inclusive fees, so think about that. Of course, you can get a guide at the entrance. There's plenty. There's actually a guide stand right at the main gate, which they've got English speaking, they've got Portuguese, they've got Spanish. I think they even have Italian, including Spanish. I mean, that was a surprise. They've got Spanish here. And in addition to that, you can buy your tickets early. You can also just get them here, which is what we did. Super easy. Wasn't complicated at all, except for the 2-ticket process. Don't forget about that. I still don't understand it. It's unlearnable for me, as Brian Regan says, unlearnable.
If you want to come along and continue touring the world with us, make sure you like this video and subscribe. I know it wasn't the most epic, every detail of everything you need to know for Chichen Itza, but hopefully it's at least a look that inspires you to come see it for yourself, which is ultimately why we created this channel. We want to inspire you to come along with us through video and go see those places in person. So we'd love to have you along. Make sure you comment whatever you want to say. We will take any comment below, even if it's a no, don't criticize us now, not too much. Make sure you subscribe to this channel because we're going to continue traveling the world and we want to have you along. Also like the video if you like to travel. We have a minute before we get back to the hotel. We're waiting for our shuttle here. But I just wanted to kind of give you an idea. It is 10:30 now, and the only downside to taking a tour bus, they're cheaper, you know, it's like $60 to $100 to get a tour bus from Cancun to take you here, and you stop at a cenote and you do, some of them do like a tequila tasting. But those people are arriving 2.5 hours after the park opens. And so that's the only downside. If you really want to get those exclusive pictures, the upside is you save money. The downside is you arrive so late as compared to everyone else that the place is already going to be packed. I mean, that line coming in was insane as we were leaving. So, you know, it's just pros and cons at the end of the day. There is also a limited amount of tickets, so you should get your tickets online or book your tour online beforehand. Don't wait till the last minute. It's only 3,000 people a day right now. The other disadvantage to coming with a tour in my mind is that by the time you arrive right now, it is so hot. And so the first 2.5 hours really are the best in my opinion, because you can actually enjoy it without feeling like you're absolutely baking in the sun. We have traveled through so many beautiful South America and Central America countries, but now it's time to say goodbye, which we are sad to do, but also excited for the future. We are going to some of the most amazing places, but I can't tell you everything yet. You have to join us along the journey, so make sure you subscribe. We're gonna be touring the world for as long as we can, potentially. I don't know, who knows. But we're gonna definitely be coming back to South America and Central America sometime, but it probably won't be for another year. So this is our last look. We're gonna enjoy it. We're gonna head to the airport so we don't miss our flight.